Okay, we're going to try this again, and this time I'm going to be wearing pants, I think. What's happening, Boot Junkies? Mike Delgadio here, back with another video on home studio setup for voiceover. Today, we're on the control room side of my studio, and we're going to be talking about this desk right here. This is the ESD-101 motorized sit-stand studio desk from a company called FlexiSpot. Now, this video is going to have the paid promotion link, as I do have a financial relationship with FlexiSpot, full disclosure, and they sent me the desk, and it's mine to keep. So, yeah, I guess I'm sponsored, getting paid for this video. But really, my goal here is to just walk you through how the desk works, show you all the ins and outs, the pros and cons of it, and hopefully help you decide if this is the right kind of desk for your home studio. If it is, there's a link down in the description that will link you over to it. If you click that link, it helps out the channel. And if you follow that link when this video is coming out, you'll be eligible for a 10% discount on the desk. So if you do think this is the right desk for you, you can save a little money by following the link. Okay, so let's just dig in and let's just get a walkthrough of how this desk works. So the first thing to know is that this is a studio desk. It's a multi-tiered desk. There are 3 different levels to it. There's a shelf down at the bottom, a drawer where you can put a keyboard. There's the main desk itself, and then there's this area with 3 different sections to put in rack-mounted equipment. These are 2U spots, so you can put in up to a total of 6 units worth of items in 2U sections. I've only got 2 pieces of equipment mounted in at the moment. I've got my Furman power conditioner, and I've got my Audient ASP 880 multiple preamp as part of my interface, which is down here. So first, why don't we just take a quick look at the controls so you can see how to operate the desk. There's this very simple control panel that comes with the desk, and it gets mounted right underneath, and there are an up and down switch that adjusts the height in, I think, tenth of an inch increments, and then there are 4 memory positions, so you can memorize different positions that you like. So you can have a position for when you're sitting, a position for when you're standing, maybe a position for when you're playing keyboard, and maybe a position for when you're standing up or composing or something like that. So you can have 4 different positions. And the way you set that position is you just adjust the height to where you'd like it to be, and then you press and hold the button. You'll get a beep, and it will memorize that position, and it will give you some feedback of what position you've memorized. So then you can go to the other position. Maybe you'd like to go up to a standing position, give you a chance to hear the motor. Go up to a standing position, and then hit the second position. And it will memorize that position. You always have freedom to adjust anywhere in between, and if you want to return to that position, just press the button. Now, what I want you to listen to is when I press that button, you'll hear the motor, and then you'll hear it settle in and slow to a stop. It's not an abrupt stop, it's a soft stop, which is very nice to make sure that there's no disruption to any equipment that you might have. So it slows down to a halt. Next up, there's a drawer down here, and the drawer is really made to hold a keyboard or a synthesizer or something like that. I just have my regular keyboard here and my interface, since I'm not a keyboard player, and the shelf is designed to hold up to 70 pounds. So even if you have a reasonably heavy electric piano or something like that, a heavy keyboard, you should be able to put it in here. And it's got a sort of a detent that holds it in place, and then you can pull it out all the way out to have it sit so it's comfortable to play, and you can retract it when it's not in use. And it's got this little cutout here so that you can sit comfortably in front of it. And you can see in the back here, there's like a little rubber stopper to make sure the keyboard doesn't slide off the back. Now, the main part does have these rack ears, so you can mount your rack-mounted equipment, and they do provide you with all the necessary screws to mount your hardware right into place. You'll see I don't have mine fully populated yet. I do have my ATEM Mini Extreme ISO here to help me keep track of my different views. I've got my power conditioner. I've got my preamplifier. This is a 15-inch MacBook, so there's plenty of space on the desk, and you still have plenty of space to work should you want to put your computer keyboard, mouse, interface, anything else up on this level. You've got plenty of room. And on the top of the desk, you do have room for either 2 big screens, or you could fit 1 screen and separate actual studio monitors. You could put those on top if you have a single screen or maybe two smaller monitors, but you don't have room to fit two 27-inch monitors and studio monitors. These are just old JBL LSR 305, so they're actually pretty small when it comes to studio monitors. And as you can see, I still don't have room, so I've had to put them on stands behind the desk. You also have the option to purchase additional casters for the legs. So if you do find that you will want to get behind your desk frequently, you can easily put the desk on casters and make it so that you can easily move the desk around or get behind it. Now right now I've got the desk up at, this is about 42 inches, and there's still about another, I think another 5 or 6 inches of height that you could add to this. So mine is just sort of bound by the limit of the stands because it fits under the stands. But as you can see, it does raise up to a very comfortable height. It's a very sturdy desk, but by the nature of the leg, since there's just a single pole under each leg, it will flex a little bit, but it's not at all going to put your equipment at risk, but it will have a little bit of flex if you push down on it. Nothing that makes it risky, but you will notice that you can sort of shake and move the desk. And I think that's just the nature of the single leg instead of having multiple legs underneath the equipment. So those are the basics of the desk. It's pretty straightforward. The assembly is very easy. You get all the parts you need as part of the packaging. It doesn't require any tools, although an electric screwdriver and some hex heads would maybe speed it up a little bit. It's not hard to assemble with the included tools. And what I did notice, and this is actually pretty handy, all the parts come in this bag, but they give you almost one extra of almost every screw in the desk or every bolt in the desk. That's actually really handy because I've certainly had pieces of equipment that I've had to, put together. But if there's one, misthreaded bolt, something like that, a manufacturing defect in just a bolt, can really derail the whole assembly of the desk in this case. So that they give you an extra screw or a bolt for almost every part in there, it really makes it so that it's a worry-free assembly. Took me about 90 minutes to put this together by myself. It's fairly heavy. Some of these boxes that it comes in, imagine these are all big pieces of wood that it comes in, can be somewhat heavy, so you may benefit by having somebody help you assemble it, at least to maybe move the parts around. But I was able to do it myself in about 90 minutes. So that's the basic operation of the desk. I've been very happy with it. As you can see, I've installed all my equipment into it. This is going to become my desk. So know that. However, there are some cons that you should be aware of, some things to be aware of. They're cons. I wouldn't call them deal breakers, but little points that you should be aware of that could influence your buying decision. There are 3 things. The first one is with the drawer. So as I mentioned before, the drawer does have like 2 detents. So you can pull it out and it will have 2 detents, but there's not a detent when it's all the way out. So if you're playing aggressively on the keyboard, you may find that the drawer moves. I wish it had a point to lock it into place when it's fully extended. It doesn't. It locks in place when it's fully retracted, but it doesn't lock in place when it's fully extended. I wish it did. The second thing is the rack ears themselves. So it comes with rack ears and enough screws or enough bolts to install a piece of equipment. There's a screw for every hole. But what I found is that they are not the same size nor thread as your typical rack ears. So these are the FlexiSpot. Let's see if I can get these to focus. These are the FlexiSpot ones. Let's see if I can get that to focus. So these are the FlexiSpot ones. And these are the ones that I've gotten with all my other all the other rack ears that I've installed. You can see it's just slightly different. The threads are different. The size is different. So if you have a lot of rack bolts already, they're not going to fit in the FlexiSpot ones. They're not interchangeable. You have to use the FlexiSpot ones. I would have certainly preferred that they had used a more standardized rack ear so that the regular easy to thread bolts, I've got this little section in the beginning. Can we focus on that? Come on, focus here. So that little section in the beginning, so you can fit that in. The FlexiSpot ones don't have that, and your regular rack bolts that you buy, they're not going to fit. It just makes mounting the equipment so much easier when they've got that little bit there on the end, but it doesn't. Just something to know about. Not a deal breaker, but something to know about because they're not standard rack ears. The third thing to be aware of is the back of the shelf of the rack mounts. They're flush with each other. And what that means is it limits the amount of equipment you can mount on the back. Certain equipment, certain things that have clamps, they just won't fit on the back, and I'll show you what I mean. So if you've got a heavy-duty clamp like this, there's not enough clearance. It's too big to fit in the rack. You can't fit the screw and the whole clamping mechanism in back. There are some that will fit, so I have like my iMac Pro here on an arm, but you do have to be aware that some equipment just won't fit in the back. I would certainly have preferred if FlexiSpot had offset the top shelf and the bottom shelf by about 2.5 to 3 inches so that you could clamp whatever you needed to the back, because a bunch of the stuff that I wanted to clamp on the back, it didn't fit. It didn't fit. So it's something to be aware of. There may be one that could fit, but I had bought the monitor arm separately and I wasn't aware that that would be a limitation. So it's something to be aware of. But if you don't have to worry about mounting anything like that, the desk is really good. My overall impressions, I'm very happy with the desk. Once you get used to the difference in height by having that keyboard tray, once you get accustomed to that slight difference in height, it becomes very easy to work with. It's definitely an adjustment from a regular table because your monitors are just going to be higher because of that rack equipment, just the nature of it. If you want to have the keyboard and everything there, the desk becomes, fairly deep. Just it's different is what I'll say. It took me a couple of days to get used to it, but now I'm totally used to it. I've got the monitor right perfectly at eye level. I've got a comfortable typing position. Everything works out fine, but it does take some getting used to. If you're interested in this desk, I will have a link in the description. If you follow it, it helps the channel out, but you'll also be able to get 10% off your purchase thanks to the gracious coupon that FlexiSpot gives us. That coupon will be in effect when this video is out. So until May 31st, 2022, I'll be able to offer you 10% off for anybody who follows that link. But I hope that helps you make a decision. I hope that helps understand if this kind of desk would be right for you. Now, get yourself a microphone, any microphone, but get yourself a microphone and maybe a studio desk if it meets your needs, but get yourself a microphone so that you can get out there and record something amazing. Thanks. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.